No, he was acting under guidance. So sometimes we find ourselves in similar situations. Like you're doing service, but somebody objects. Has this ever happened to you? You're trying to do service and somebody objects. Can happen, right? But because we're doing service under guidance, under authority, so we're protected. So we tell the other person, why don't you just talk to my boss? Huh? And you figure it out amongst yourself. So, but the usual tendency is when you get feedback, what is the usual tendency? You fight back. Have you noticed? Huh? When you get feedback, you fight back. That's the usual tendency. Why? Because there is false ego involved, and we think, no, I have to justify myself. I have to protect my position. I have to explain to people. I was just in Panama after the Rath Yatra the next day. We had a nice festival at the temple, and I was trying to serve out prasadam. And I was meant to serve out the khichdi, and I got a very small spoon to serve out khichdi, like an eating spoon, about that size. And I thought, that's not so ideal, right? So I asked the lady who was in charge of the service, of the servants, that if she could kindly get me a ladle, a proper spoon for serving out the khichdi, which is quite runny. It wasn't like solid. So, and she started arguing with me. So I heard her out, and then I tried again. And then she started chastising and instructing me. And of course, I was stubborn. I tried again a third time in a nice way to ask for a different serving spoon. And so I saw at one point that this is not going to work. You know this situation when you realize this is not going to work? And I said, well, this is useless. And I just walked away and went to the kitchen to get my proper spoon. When I came back, the lady's husband was there, and he was giving me a lot of hot sauce, telling me, hot sauce, chutney, and he was telling me that, why did you tell my wife that you are useless? Now she's crying. Just see what you have done. And I realized that the more I try to explain myself, the worse it gets. So what do you do in such a situation? I just went with him over to his wife. And I said, Mataji, I was out of line. I blew it. I'm really sorry if I offended you. Can you please forgive me? And she stopped crying. She wiped her tears away. And she said, okay, I forgive you. Everything's okay. And we all went back to our service. So when you try to do service for Krishna, sometimes you have to take a hit. You have to take a little chastisement. You have to take a little bit of critique and understand, I'm a servant. I'm here for service. I'm not here to prove myself. I'm here to improve myself. Sometimes we try to prove ourselves, right? We try to show to Krishna or to the world that, I can do this, I got this figured out. But Krishna, what is his mission? Krishna wants to bring us closer to him. So whatever comes between us and Krishna, Krishna wants to remove it. If the obstacle is our false ego, he'll remove it. If the obstacle is our expertise, he will remove it. If the obstacle is our opulence, he will remove it. Yasyaha manugrinami harishitaddanam shanai. Now we're discussing in Govardhan, in this topic, and one person, a scholar, she said that Krishna is not going to mess with things that are not an obstacle, only what you're really attached to. Krishna will start messing with that. So be careful. Whatever we're attached to, that's what Krishna is starting to play with. That's where he's starting to shake, to rock the boat, so to speak. So here, Durvasa Muni, he was very much attached to being a Muni, a Rishi, a Yogi. He was very powerful. And as soon as something was not according to his liking, as soon as there was a slight discrepancy, he would trip and start cursing people. Just like one time he gave a garland to Indra. But Indra gave it to Airavata, to his elephant. And Airavata, the elephant, being an animal, he just threw it on the ground and he stepped on it. And Durvasa Muni was not very pleased by that. He felt disrespected. So he cursed Indra to lose everything. So the demons took over. Indra was kicked out of his home. They lost everything because of a slight mistake. So, of course, the mind says, why is Durvasa Muni doing this? Well, Durvasa Muni is a partial incarnation of Lord Shiva, which means there's a lot of fire. And there's also a certain influence, the tendency to get overwhelmed by the mode of passion and ignorance. So Durvasa Muni has this tendency, but as we can see time and time again, that his curses are actually blessings in disguise. I don't want to put anybody in distress, but if you categorically think of the 3 worst things that have happened in your life, like not in detail, okay, but just in categories, and 10 years later, maybe 20 years later, in retrospect, we have to admit that this was the best thing that could have happened to me. This is just what I needed. This is just Krishna's blessing for me to come closer to him. Right now, when it's happening, it's all this why and woe and me and this and that and the other one and who to blame. But in retrospect, we have to admit that it is Krishna's mercy. Titikshava karunika surida sarvadehina majata shatrava santa sarva sadubhushanaha. The ornaments on the devotee are not their great face paint and maquillage and jewelry, or their, great toys and cars and houses or bank accounts. No. Their ornaments are these wonderful qualities, starting with tolerance. How tolerant are we? Can we tolerate somebody else serving Krishna in a different way than we like to serve him? Is this possible? How dare somebody does something different? How dare somebody has a different point of view? Can we tolerate that? Can we accept that? Can we appreciate diversity because we rejoice in unity? Or are we so insecure that we say, ha! And then either, we get verbal, or just in our own mind, we get disturbed. So, devotees are introspective, they're self-reflective. So Ambarish, he was very tolerant. And he was very karunika, he was very compassionate. He begged Sudarshan Chakra, please forgive this Durvasa Muni. Please forgive him. And he was willing, he actually waited for 1 year. When Durvasa was on his little journey, on his little race throughout the universe, trying to get away from Sudarshan Chakra, Ambarish was just standing there, fasting, waiting for 1 year. He wasn't saying, oh yeah, okay, I forgive him, but karma will get him. Okay, wonderful now. Let him burn. No, he was really feeling compunction. He was actually feeling a lot of, he was taking part in that suffering, and he was begging Sudarshan, he was praying to please spare him. He was not taking any offense on his account. So, that is the nature of a pure devotee. Sadhunam hridayam mayam, sadhunam hridayam tvaham marannate na janati naham tebhyo managapi. There's these beautiful verses in this section of the Bhagavatam where Krishna who is being appealed to by Durvasa Muni for leniency. He says, you're appealing to my heart, but I don't have my heart. My heart is with Ambarish. He has my heart. Because he's always thinking of me, so I'm always thinking of him. So if you want to appeal to my heart, you have to go to Ambarish. He's got my heart. So you go to him, and you appeal to him. And then there's a chance that my heart will forgive you, if my devotee forgives you. So, and that's what happened. Now, Durvasa is leaving this scene fully satisfied. He's completely satisfied. That's quite unusual for Durvasa Muni to be completely satisfied. But because of the wonderful Vaishnava behavior of Ambarish Maharaj, he felt completely satisfied by this experience. And with the king's permission, he left this place, glorifying Ambarish, through the skyways, going to Brahmaloka to expand the glories of the devotees of Krishna, who are so merciful, who are so tolerant, who are so forgiving. And he had first-hand experience. He wasn't just quoting shlokas and telling stories. He had first-hand experience of that Vaishnava behavior. One time, I was in Moscow, in Yurlova, and it was Brahmotsava, the installation day of the deities there, Shishigonitai. And His Grace Gopi Paranadhana Prabhu was there, who, for those of you who might not know him, is a scholar and a sadhu. He was part of the team to finish the Bhagavatam, and he translated Briha Bhagavatamrita and many other books, and had a Sanskrit school at Govardhan, but was also preaching in China and in Russia while residing in Govardhan. So I met him, and we were just talking, and I asked him how he's doing, and he asking me what I'm doing. So I asked him, what is he working on? And he said, you have a pen drive? And I said, yes, I have a pen drive. So I gave him my pen drive. And he copied all the books he was working on, unfinished, unedited, and handed it to me. And showing me that we're on the same team. We're working together. We're doing this together. Okay, you're a book distributor, you're a preacher. I'm a translator and an editor, and I'm a preacher. We're on the same team. So whatever I have, you have to have. And your need, your difficulty is my need, is my difficulty. So I try to help you in a similar way as you are helping me by distributing the books that we're publishing. So I felt very empowered, and I felt very inspired by his grandeur, by his magnanimity. So we see these examples in our Vaishnava tradition, and we become hopefully inspired to do the same in our small way, in our community, where instead of criticizing or sidelining or trying to get to the top, but where we're trying to encourage and inspire others to shine and to come forward in the service of Krishna, because that is very pleasing to Krishna. Srimati Radharani, she feels 1,000,000 times more joy in bringing other gopis to Krishna, to have them have direct service and interactions with Krishna, than she feels when she's personally serving Krishna. That's why she is the greatest of the devotees, because she knows Krishna's heart. She knows what pleases Krishna most. So it's wonderful to be here, to see the wonderful deity worship and the efforts to build a community in a very turbulent time where many things are polarized and many things are very difficult. Yet if we keep service to Krishna and service to the Vaishnavas, service to Krishna means service to the Vaishnavas, at our center, then Krishna will give us the intelligence, how we can actually build communities based on that principle. Because you can't separate the devotees from Krishna. Have you ever met people who said, I love God, but then they acted in a way like they hate everybody else? Do you know a few people like that? Just a few, right? So we have to be careful that we don't think, yes, I have my relationship with my Thakur, with my deity, and with Krishna, the deity, none different, and with my guru. But everybody else, I can actually do without them. But that's not possible. It's like when artists try to paint pictures of Krishna, but there was no devotees, there was no cows, there was no peacocks. Prabhupada said, this is wrong. This is wrong. This is Mayavad. You can't have a picture just of Krishna alone. There has to be devotees. Otherwise, it's not Krishna. It's just a concoction. It's just an idea. like Shupurnaka. You remember Shupurnaka? The sister of Ravana? Who thought that I want to be with Ram. But everybody else, get out of the way. Okay, Sita is the problem. Let me eat Sita and then, then everything is fine. So, we see here how Ambarish Maharaj, through his wonderful qualities, he pleased Durvasa Muni, and because he pleased the Lord. Sometimes we try to please people individually, and it's very difficult. It's very difficult. You try to please your family. Have you ever tried that? Have you ever succeeded? Difficult, right? Difficult. Always someone to complain. Just like my mom just passed away last week, and she was really appreciative and very supportive of my attempts at Krishna consciousness. She even came to India and she took part in many activities. But whenever I call my dad, he asks at the end, "Are you still with?" And then he doesn't say Hare Krishna, but are you still with those people? And I could ask him, "Are you still smoking 2 packs of cigarettes, or are you still doing this or that?" But I know better. I'm the son, so we just talk about things that he can appreciate and leave on a sweet note. So, just like Ambarish Maharaj, he was ready to take the difficulty, to take a little bit of heat in order to benefit Durvasa Muni. So in a similar way, if you can't take the heat, stay away from the kitchen, right? Is there heat in the kitchen? Yes. Not only fire, also other types of heat, right? There is tension, there is time concerns, there's pressure, there's expectations, there's people with knives. What?
You have to love it.
You have to love it, yeah. You have to see, this is my Kurukshetra, this is my yagya, this is my seva for Krishna. And for that, I'm willing to take a hit or two. So, and that austerity is there in every service. If you want to be a pujari, you have to take 64 showers every day, and keep yourself clean in all situations, and just be fully focused to give pleasure to the Lord, and put your own interests and your own enjoyment secondary. So it's an austerity. But Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentioned that the difficulty that arises in the performance of my devotional service is my ecstasy. Do you have enough Krishna anxiety in your life? If not, you can become a property trustee, or or a leader, or you try to serve other devotees. You will have Krishna anxiety in your life. Naturally, it's not avoidable, because Krishna will respond to your prayers, and he will give you ample of opportunity to develop these wonderful Vaishnava qualities that we see exhibited here in Ambarish Maharaj. So much so that the Lord not only intervened, but the Lord exalted Ambarish. And we're hearing about this. How long ago did this happen? Approximately? A very long time ago. Well, we're hearing about this here today, here in Hunsrück. So, if you ever have the idea of working on your legacy project, or becoming famous, or becoming known, this is your chance. Develop the Vaishnava qualities of tolerance, compassion, forgiveness, selfless service, loving team play, and people will remember you. They will remember you for a very long time. I was distributing books in Santa Cruz, California, the home of the homeless vegan. If you do Food for Life there, the homeless people, they will ask you, "Is it vegan?" And I'm like, are you hungry? But don't argue with. While walking back to the van, I just casually started talking to a man who was walking with his daughter, young daughter, and he also came back from the farmer's market. I'd finished distributing books and was walking back to the van. And it's just making conversation, shooting the breeze. And, where are you from? What are you doing? And so he said, I was in Switzerland. I was working in Switzerland. I said, really? Where? He said, Winterthur. I said, really? I was born there, I know every street in that town. So he was a translator and interpreter for a bank. And he said one time, and then he looked at me and he said, aren't you I said, yeah, I'm a Hare Krishna, of course. I was in pant and shirt. So he said, hear this. One time I went to a music festival with a few of my friends. And we went there and we camped there. We put up our tent and we went to enjoy the music. And when I came back, the tent was gone, my stuff was gone, my friends were gone, my money, my documents, everything was gone. But the Hare Krishnas had a tent there. And I went to their tent, and it was a big pandal. And they gave me a place to stay. They gave me a sleeping bag. They gave me prasadam. And I spent great few days with the Hare Krishnas. And he started giving me berries and fruits and money and took the book. And he had one life-changing experience with devotees who were not like, who are you? What are you doing here? Why you're trying to intrude our own little sacred space here? But who saw an opportunity for service. So his life was changed just because of that one incident. That won't go away, no matter what he does for the rest of his life. That's a samskara, something that's very deeply imprinted on his soul. So, in a similar way, let us find ways to appreciate devotees and appreciate the uniqueness, the diversity of the people that come forward, and also try to increase our loving cooperation. There's a beautiful verse in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam who says that even if you hate all the demigods, how many demigods are there? 33 million. Even if you hate all the demigods and all living entities, but you appreciate the devotional service of one devotee, then you can make rapid spiritual advancement. So I'm here to appreciate your devotional service because sometimes my mind is very critical, and I hope and I pray that by the mercy of the devotees, I can also make some spiritual advancement in this life. Hari Om Tat Sat. Questions, comments, or reflections? Yes, Narayani.
Diese Sanskaras, von denen du gesprochen hast, diese kleinen, es gibt ja leider auch viele so negative Sachen, auch im Devotee-Leben. For example, we have a little problem to find cooks for the Sunday feast. So we have a big community, and we have, I think, a lot of devotees who can cook, but they had some bad experience with whatever, and they don't want to cook again because they remember always this bad experience. They were not treated nicely, they got not enough Lakshmi to buy boga, whatever comes, and then they say, no, it's over now, I don't want to cook again for the Sunday feast. Yeah, it's so difficult to bring this in the devotees out of their,
out of their mindset, out of that pattern. Yes, thank you for your honesty. We have to.
For example. Yeah, it's next issue.
It's not only about cooking or something.
I can't hear you. Acoustic.
It's not only about cooking or something.
Oh.
So
sure. Sure. Yeah, that's there in every aspect because the mind is very critical. And we think, oh, if I start to get into this, oh, it will be difficult. Oh, it will be difficult. There will be difficulty. Yes, of course, there will be difficulty. It's called service. Service means there is some difficulty. If Prabhupada wanted to have a comfortable life, he could have stayed in Vrindavan. He was giving nice lectures and talks, and people respected him, and he's staying in Radha Damodar. You been to Radha Damodar temple in Vrindavan? Beautiful place, huh? You got the Rupa Sanatans, Samadhis right in the courtyard, and, Radhe Radhe, and beautiful. But Prabhupada went to New York. Not such a nice place, huh? He knew it's going to be difficult. So sometimes neophytes have, and we're all, beginners. So speaking for myself, we have unrealistic expectations. We think like, yeah, everything has to be, I will come and do the nice things, like just do the spicing at the end and the tasting, but not the hard lift, the heavy lifting. But that's an unrealistic expectation. So as leaders, it is our duty to give participants a realistic expectation. So they're prepared. Sometimes we don't prepare people. We say, yeah, can you, do this, and all of a sudden it ends up being something else, ends up being something much more difficult. Like I went to one place and they wanted me to do a little gardening, but then they had me do, logging, like cutting trees and clearing forest and doing heavy lifting. So we have to communicate, okay, what does the service entail, and how can you get help if you need help. Sometimes people are not properly trained. They're not really capable of acting to that capacity. But oftentimes, it just requires a little encouragement. Just like, who is coming on Harinam? Who is coming on book distribution? Oh, I'm a little busy today. I think my mom needs a peanut butter jelly sandwich. I think I have to clean my yard or my garage, or, basically, I'll find any excuse not to do it. But if we have our priorities set right, then what should be our priority? Jai Sisi Radha Madan Mohan, Shishi Gonita Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai Ho. Our priority should be service. How can I be of service? Now, sometimes it seems like we have conflicting services, or we have a lot of services that we can use as an excuse that, hey, I'm busy. I can't do this right now. Have you noticed how the mind is good at giving us excuses and justifying? Does your mind ever do that? Or is it just my mind? Huh? But there is that t-shirt, right? And remember that t-shirt that says no excuses. No excuses. Prabhupada didn't take any excuse. He could have said, look, I'm old, I don't have any money, I don't have any connection. I'm in the right place, I'm doing fine. I was in Palo Alto, Facebook town, and we're doing Harinam Sankirtan. And one Indian gentleman, he walks up to me and he shows me on the Bhagavad Gita Prabhupada's picture, and he says, he came to my house. I said, really? Maybe not. He said, no, I'm from Agra. He came to my grandfather's house and he gave a lecture on Bhagavad Gita. And he gave me $100 and he took the Gita and he walked away. His name is Atri. So Prabhupada made that effort, even though he had no resources. He would travel to preach from Vrindavan. Remember, this is 60s, early 1960s. It's not easy to move in India. But he would go and do preaching programs. Even though he had every excuse to stay in Vrindavan, translate his books, do so many other things, but he took the trouble to go to all these places. So what is my difficulty? Now, a strategy that I have tried, and you can also try, is tell these devotees, I will help you. I'll help you. And you create a team of fun-loving Sevites. Okay, we're going to do it together. And then all of a sudden, like you see the Sankirtan party, right? It's a fun-loving team. And everybody wants to join in because it's fun. All of a sudden, you have a fun-loving group and everybody wants to be part of that. And then you have to start, putting on a roster and say, no, you can't cook the Sunday feast today. It's not possible, okay? All right? We already have 3 teams who are waiting. So you can cook in December, second Sunday in December, you can cook. That will be your problem. Do you like that problem? That'd be nice, right? Like in Alachua, they have over 100 devotees on the Pujari roster, and everybody's doing one artig or one dressing or one offering or one thing. Now we have a few hundred devotees here in the area, out of which a few dozen are capable of doing these services. So if we inspire them, if we encourage them, if we do the service with them, then it's quite possible. Coercing, coercing, argumentum ad baculum, Knut and Prenik, that you're using the stick and the sugar bread as an incentive. Wir sagen Peitsche und Mohrrübe und Butterbrot, ja. Zuckerbrot, yeah. It doesn't work so well because devotees don't respond so well to force. Not now. Maybe in the early days there was more. That was more of a. Now, no. So, just like sometimes we have to tell people who try to coerce us that we don't respond so well to force. But I respond very well to if somebody comes and offers me friendship or somebody comes and offers me a service opportunity. I respond well to that usually. So, to be clear on our own intentions, and also, communicate that it's not only a necessity, but it's a great service opportunity. And yes, there will be some hiccups and some difficulties. That is to be expected, but that's part of the service. That's part of the purification. Okay? You're welcome. Was it easy for the gopis to go and meet Krishna in the forest? Was it easy? No, there was many obstacles. Families were against it. The community was against it. Everything was against it. But because their first and foremost meditation was, how can I give pleasure to Krishna? Mahaprabhu said, I will give up millions of bodies if I can please Krishna. So of course we cannot imitate that, but we can understand the essence. I don't think it's a problem that's not solvable. And yes, sometimes you have to take concessions, which means some people, they need a little assistance, some people, they need a little extra encouragement or some incentive. Okay, you do something, I'll try to do something for you. Okay, you have something, all right, I'll help you with that. You help me with this, like that. That's just part of how things work. Prabhupada wanted to build a Radha Krishna temple in New York. And there was a man in India who wanted to sponsor. But there was a problem. He couldn't bring rupees to the US. It's not convertible currency. So Prabhupada, he got this brilliant idea. Why don't you give the money in India to the Salvation Army, and the Salvation Army in New York will give me the money in dollars? And in this way, everyone goes home happy, right? Because in this way, things will work out. So Prabhupada left no stone unturned. He did. When he could not get to the US, he thought first, let me go. He got an invitation from Trinidad to some Bhagavad Gita conference. So he planned, okay, Trinidad, it's in the Caribbean. It's quite close to the US. So let me go there, and then from there, I'll go to the US. He couldn't get residency in the US. So he went up to Canada, to Montreal. After New York and San Francisco, Montreal was the third temple that ISKCON had. Prabhupada went up there. And the Canadians practically immediately gave him residency as a religious worker. And with that Canadian residency, he got his American residency. Workarounds bring turnarounds. Sometimes you can't go the straight way. You have to go in a different way. Krishna has a plan. Am I willing to cooperate with Krishna's plan or not? That's the question. So thank you for taking that labor of love to inspire devotees in their devotional service. This is Srimati Radharani's service, to engage others in service. And it's not easy. Other points?
We refrain from trying to engage others in service if we think it's going to be performed in the wrong mood. Probably know it's not. It was done on the spite.
When you try to engage others in service, you have to take into account that they're different people and they may have a different style and they may have a different mood. Otherwise, if you want to do everything by yourself, you're not going to do much. Prabhupada was expert. He recognized potential, he recognized talent, and anybody who walked through the door, he was willing to empower them, taking the risk that they may do things differently, and some things will go wrong. Guaranteed. Have you noticed? You get a new guy in the kitchen, whoa, right? You have to be on it to make sure stuff doesn't blow up. But that's a risk you have to take. It's called, parampara. It's called training others, because we're not here for a very long time. So then, of course, the question always is this person trainable? Well, it depends. Again, different people respond to different tactics. Mostly people like to be appreciated. They like to be inspired, enthused. They like to follow someone's good example. But nobody likes if they're told wrong or that they're, doing things wrong. So even though it's very easy to point out fault, like we can see here in Durvasa Muni, it's very easy to point out fault. Ha! He drank water. Huh? Ah! Huh? But then, by the devotees' kindness, by their mercy, we realize that if we appreciate the devotees, then Krishna actually is pleased. And then there's different ways of how to do things. It's not that our way is the only way. That's the only way it can be done. So there's room for variety. Otherwise, you never get much done. You have to learn the art of delegation. And that means appreciating others, encouraging others, and then they just want to cooperate. Like Jayananda, the original Jayananda who built Rath Yatra cart in San Francisco. He picked people off the street to help him. There was not enough people. There's always not enough people, not enough hands on deck, not enough resources. He would drive around town and just pick up stuff from construction sites. And just, we have to engage this in Krishna service, he would just dovetail everything in Krishna service. But he just grabbed one young boy off the street and he asked him, can you hold this nail? Yeah, sure. Can you hold this hammer? Yeah, sure. Can you hammer this nail into this board here? Yeah, okay. He said, okay. And then he gave him another nail and he said, can you keep going? Just, so many inches distance, keep going. And then he brought him prasadam, and then he started talking with him. And that boy is now Japataka Maharaj. He just picked him off the street. He was just a guy who was walking by on the street. And he just said, hey, you, I got something for you. Can you hold a nail? Huh? One time, Jayananda, he had to go to court because he stole a pair of jeans. Second-hand shop, $5, So, and the judge asked him, why did you do it? It's $5, so for a pair of jeans. Jayananda was crying tears, and he was saying, I cannot spend God's money. I cannot spend Krishna's money for myself. The judge looked at him, took out his wallet, gave $5 to the shopkeeper, and said, you can all go home now. It's okay. Case is closed. He realized this person is selfless. This person is a saint. He's trying to do whatever he does for God. So there's no fault in him. He not only understood the letter of the law, he also understood the spirit of the law. You know, nicht nur das Kleingedruckte, auch den Sinn der Sache hat verstanden. So he understood what his role was as a judge. And he acted in the right way. Now we cannot take excuse or liberty in that, but it just means we have to appreciate that other people will do things slightly different than we do. And, cooperate and encourage them. Not get worked up about it. That, oh, grandma did this, or dad said that, or my brahmachari Sankirtan leader said that, and now you're holding the book slightly different. How can you hold it with the left hand? This is offensive, So you're laughing, but we got Southern and Northern Baptists. They're both Baptists. I think they got the Baptists also here, right? Hast du was gesagt über die Baptists, die Baptisten?
Nee, hier gibt's keine.
Gibt's keine? No, but they're quite popular in many parts of the world. And they have little agreements on little details. And because of that, they start different churches. And they hate each other. They say, if you're in that church, you can't go back to God. Not possible. Because slight difference. So don't start your own movement just because somebody is doing something slightly different. Otherwise, you end up with a lot of little cults and a lot of little insecure people who are territorial and constipated. And it's very painful to watch that. Because we should be one big family, one big loving family of devotees serving Krishna, right? Srimad Bhagavatam Ke, Srila Prabhupada Ke, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ke, loving relationships amongst devotees Ke. Jai.
Sorry, I can relate. If you just can read the verse.
I can. It is possible. Okay. So the verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th canto, 5th chapter, text 21 and 22. I'll just read the translation. The chapter is entitled Durvasa Muni's Life Spared. All the blessed women, this is Durvasa speaking to Ambarish, all the blessed women in the heavenly planets will continuously chant about your spotless character at every moment. And the people of this world will also chant your glories continuously. And then Shukadeva Goswami continued, thus being satisfied in all respects, the great mystic yogi Durvasa took permission and left, continuously glorifying the king. Through the skyways he went to Brahmaloka, which is devoid of agnostics and dry philosophical speculators. Hari Om Tat Sat. Thanks a lot.